Hi, sorry. I realized via text from Chaz. Where's that button? There's that button that my timer wasn't going, and then I had to go do something. And then my timer went off, and I was like, shoot. Anyway, here we are. Good morning. It's been 2 weeks? No, I was here last week for this. I'm thinking of painting. I'm thinking of video games. That'll have been 2 weeks. Hi. We have 8 alerts to read through in a second. But I just kind of want to sit for a second and have some coffee. Aren't we all thinking about video games? For a short period. Last night when we played Secret of Monkey Island, and the night before when we ordered the Switch 2, that's like it. Or when I played Squares. Or checking my cats on Neko Atsume. That's not really a game, that's just like, here's a cat, cool. Put fish out. Or food out. See more often than you think. Okay. We're working on this piece today. I'd forgotten that was like this far along. And like in my head, I knew I had locked this in. But then I walked in here and I was like, ah. Repair the furniture they destroy, that kind of stuff. They sure do that. That's the thing I don't like about the new one. Because I've been playing it long enough that everything in my little room for my cats and Neko Atsume 2 just looks destroyed. But that's how it is to have cats. Your stuff just gets destroyed. So we're working on this today, and I thought about it last night. And sometimes I think about painting passively, like it's like in the back of my brain and I'm not actively thinking about it. And then whenever I go to actively think about it, like last night when I thought, oh yeah, I stream in the morning, my brain was like, hey, here's some helpful information about that. And it was like, you should start from the top and work down because then your hand isn't getting in the stuff you've done. And then my brain was like, also, you should probably draw in where the screen is on this part so that that can dry while you start up here, and then by the time you get here, it'll have dried, and then you can erase the chalk and make this look good. So that was kind of my brain being like, here's all the stuff you have to do. It's like, we've been thinking about this for you. Here you go. And I'm like, thank you, brain. I appreciate that. Radio Dread says, the thing with Neko Atsume 2 is that it never looks new again when you fix things. Yeah. Yeah. I don't like that either. Some things I think look fine, a little tattered, but not everything. Are we playing the original Secret of Monkey Island, the DOS version? We are playing the remake, but there's a button where you can like flip it back to how it looks originally. And that's kind of neat sometimes to be like, well, how did this originally look? And that's kind of neat. I have never played it before. We are like 60% according to the save files percentage through the game. We have made it to the island. Big brain moments. It's convenient. It does that with other things too for me. Like, hey, you have this problem? Think about it. In the background. While you're busy, like, biking or something. I have a friend of mine playing through Disco Elysium right now because after we beat Disco, I was like, there are 2 people in my life I know would really enjoy this. And I messaged one of them. Actually, I did message both of them. And I was like, hey, play this for me. Because I need to scream about it to someone. And you are the people that will like it. And one of them is almost done. And they're like, I'm playing Oblivion Remaster. And I'm like, no, come on. You're right there. You're so close to being done. Just finish it. And the other's like, oh, I've played like 20 minutes of the game a few times now, but I just haven't like continued. And I'm like, come on. So I need to scream at both of them some more. One of them, the one that's almost done, promised me that they would play it this weekend, so I need to be on their case about that. Okay. I'm almost done. I have like 2 more sips of this. All right. I didn't pull my hair back today. Maybe it's fine. We have in a 25-month resub from Xenofantasies, 24-month resub from DevStats. I picked up the big ones. They make a different noise. That's kind of fun. Thanks for hitting 2 years. 25 months from Somber Mc91, 25 from Renee, 21 from Jade Jennings, 24 from Furious Kitty. Clack, clack. Yeah, isn't this one nice? Clack with weight. Thanks for hitting 2 years, Furious Kitty. 22 months from Sapphire Becca, and 25 from Epic DXX. Bigger sticks for longer subs. That's my biggest... No, you're not. This is my biggest paintbrush. Or with the long handle. This one's biggest. I've never used either of these, as you can probably tell. I should have used either of them for big painting. When I did the background, that would have made sense. But here's the thing. These ones are harder to wash. So I don't particularly like using big paintbrushes for that reason. This is the biggest one I use on the regular. And this one's already a pain in itself to wash. I really like these. These are Michael's brand Artist Loft. They're level 3 brushes. It has a name, but it's 2 Firenze. It's the city in Italy. And I really like these. I don't particularly like the texture. It's like matte. It's fine. Like, that's not something that bothers me a whole lot. I know there are some people who are bothered by that. This one over time has gotten like actually tacky and sticky. This one hasn't, but this one is also brand new. This is my backup for when I lose this one because I do really love this brush. Okay, what did I say? We were blocking in this part first, and then we're going to work our way top down and just see how long it takes us, or how far we get in the time period. And I'm using this because I had this on my ride last night. And I find that if I let these sit too long, the water gets gross. Or like the plastic taste gets into the water and I don't like it. So I'm going to finish that off and then immediately go wash it. I need to get a couple more water bottles because I go through them too quickly. And then they have to get washed because then they taste like plastic. Tech Absol says, for someone that is relatively new to painting streams and painting in general, what is blocking? So everyone paints a little bit different. The way I tend to paint is I like to work background to foreground. So like I did all of this background first, and I like to paint by kind of filling in everything with like a base color. Like that's what this is right now. And like there's a little bit of variation going on in this, but like everything is kind of just like flat color, one layer. So I've like blocked it in. So like I put down this gray-brown color as a base on top of the underpainting. And now what I'm doing is I'm going to make it pretty. I'm going to give it its texture, any shadows it has that I didn't already do. This piece down here has some carving in it of some wisteria. So I'm going to do that as well. Where's a good example of that here? Like this part has a lot of that right now because I'm done with the background. So like when I painted this square, I painted it like solid green first, light green, and that was it blocking in. And then I put a shadow up here and faded that down, and then I did a little bit of a lighter green down here and faded that up. And there's not really any texture here because it's so far away. But like down here, I started to do a little bit more and did like this little tiny highlight on the corner of this, because this comes out and then there's like a tiny highlight right here. So like that's kind of the stuff that comes after blocking, is those details that make it really pop and look good. So one of the ways I think about it is like when you're doing artwork with like little kids, like elementary school kids, like if they can block in things like the proper color, like not perfect, right? But like if they can recognize that like, oh, this part is darker than this part, and they can like do that, and they, even if they're just painting it solid flat color, like that's what this is. So we're getting there. All right, I wanted to draw in, this needs sharpened majorly, sharpener, the screen here, because that needs to dry so I can erase the chalk. And then we'll start from the top and work our way down. And because this is such fine detail where it's tiny for this part, I really want this to be sharp. Because I need the lines to be exact. Tech Absol says, so blocking generally the basic flat color sections before the finer details. Correct. And it's a little nebulous on how I do it sometimes. Like there's some detail up here, obviously, where I was doing like the highlights on the shoulders of this cap and like the peak here. Like doing all of that was a little bit past blocking in, but I didn't want to lose the line I had. So if I wasn't doing that, I wouldn't quite see like the curve of where this changes. I would lose the detail I had underneath that I had drawn in by painting it flat. And I liked what I had underneath, so I had to kind of bring that to the blocking in section so I could still see where that was. But like, this is light brown, this is dark brown, and I even did a little bit of shadow here. Like there's a part that sticks forward. You can kind of see there's two vertical pieces. So like when I did this part, I did shade this a little bit, which is a little more than blocking in. So sometimes I'm doing a little bit more and sometimes I'm doing a little bit less. And that's just kind of a experience thing about like, oh, I need to do this because I know how I am, or I know how this will go. And sometimes you don't, and then you mess it up, and that's fine. You have to just fix it. Aggregated Molecule says it's a similar concept to blocking in theater, really. People in the right places for the full production and action to be layered onto it properly. And I don't know if blocking in is the art term or not. It might be. I might have gotten it from dance. But it made sense to me, so I started using it. Sometimes you just pick up words when you go to college. And those vocab words may not be the actual vocab words, as you later find out. My photography teacher in high school, he could never think of like the proper vocabulary term for things. So he just started calling things like doohickey. Like he would just have like a nonsense word and he would start calling everything that. And then we'd be like, the developer chemicals? And he'd be like, yeah, the doohickey. And be like, things have names. This is high school photography. And like that got into my language for a while where I was using that. All right, so inside of these vertical pieces, there's more vertical pieces. So we kind of have to start in a little bit. And there's a certain number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 windows. And I can do all 8, but it may not look right because this is not exactly 1-to-1. Even though I did do the grid, it may look better to have a different number just based on the space I have. So like visually versus mathematically. I think I'm gonna draw this outside frame first and then see how I feel about that. So that's like 1/8 of an inch on that side. And if I line this up with a whole number, that would be useful. And because I've done so much of this with geometry lately, this needs to continue. This part has to be geometrically correct. Vagabond says, I love when words get added to my lexicon. Sometimes I enforce it. Sometimes I force it. Yeah, there's things that just you start using because you've heard it. And sometimes you have to try and fix it when you're like, you know, I should stop doing that. Now, I know I drew in and painted in all of this detail up here, but it's really just super dark in the piece, and you're not gonna see it. So I'm not gonna draw in the top part of this frame. Even though, like, in theory it's there. Crescelium says, I've just accepted that I now say eepy instead of sleepy. That's a really good example. Okay, so there's 8. So what I should do is I should do a rough block in of these and then see if 8 looks good. So we have 2.5 inches to work with. So 2.5. I don't need this right now. I shouldn't do this where I can't see it. We'll do it over here. Don't fall. That would suck. So we have that much to work with. So 1 1/4 is our halfway. And then I can just kind of work out from here. One, two, three. Yeah, like that's not even right. Two. Window, 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 window. And the hard thing here is the parts that are the slats, the wood slats, are thinner than the negative space. And like, I can do this mathematically, right? So like this is 1/8 of an inch. So like eighth, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to fill in here. And then I can do the math and figure out if those take up this much space, then that makes the windows X big. It's 2.5 inches total. There's probably like a better mathematical way to do this that like my math friends could tell me to do, but I have to do it the long way. I have to think through each stupid step. So we have 7/8. And we have a full 2.5 inches. So 2.5 minus 7/8 gives us a number, 1.625. So that is how much space the windows can take up. So if I divide that by 8 windows, we get 0.2-ish. Okay. So 1/5 of an inch is each window. Sorry. Yeah. Which is unfortunately not an easy number. Three 3/16 is pretty close, and I can measure that. But I can also do 7/32 is a close enough guess. Am I really only rounding to 10th place? For shame. Listen, it's art. Where did my actual pencil go? There it went. I just got distracted and forgot my number. Three 3/16. That was my number. Okay. 7/32. Yeah. 3/16, 7/32. So here's my little guide, and now I have this. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work from the center. Also, I need to make a pie crust today. Sorry, it just occurred to me I need to do this ahead of time for tomorrow. I'm going to mark center, which is going to be 1 1/4. And then I'm going to move my ruler to make this easier on me. No, I don't have to. I can just use the 30 seconds. So like here's the first one. What kind of pie? It's gonna be strawberry rhubarb. Which I don't think I've had since I was a child, and I know a lot of people really like it, and strawberries are currently in season, so I'm like, I need to make this and see how I feel about it, because I do really love pie. 3/16. 1, 2, 3. What's going to happen here is I'm going to end up with a tiny bit on each side, and what I'm going to do then is move this line just in a little bit, and that's going to be how that goes. And then an eighth, 1, 2, 3, and then an eighth, and then 1, 2, 3, and then an eighth, and then 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it just moves that line in a little bit. And that's fine. No one's gonna know. So there's all my window lines. Lunar Pearl says, art school failed me by requiring less math credits than standard since art kids aren't good at math. I feel like I could have been good at math. There's a few reasons that I kind of just gave up. I need to give myself a top line here so I can make it square and measure from. So even though I know I'm not going to use this for any reason, it's just for measuring purposes. I feel like I did really good in geometry in high school, and geometry would have been freshman year for me. I really liked geometry. In 6th grade, I got put in advanced math, which they called applications, in 6th grade at my school. And applications was like real world math. Like one of the things we did was we worked on figuring out return on interest for stocks. Like we had to pick stocks every week, and then at the end of the week we had to figure out what our return on interest was, and we had then that fake money to then reinvest the next week and then keep figuring out what our return on interest was. And we also had to do toothpick bridges, and we were given like a budget, and we had to buy glue and toothpicks, and like I think there were popsicle sticks, but they were a lot of money, like the fake money. And then if you completed the project and you had your budget and did all the math, then you got a good grade. And we also talked about like triangles being stronger and like how bridges were made. There was also rope if you wanted to try a suspension, but no one did that. And then they tested all of our bridges for weight, and then based on what you placed out of everyone in the class, you got extra credit. And mine was 2nd place, and the only reason that mine didn't win, we had partners, so I was paired up with a boy named Andy. The only reason ours didn't win was because ours cost a little bit more than the other bridge, but like it was 2 gallons of water that they had to hold. Because they kept pouring water in, and then they would measure it. So we had 2 full gallons from our bridge, and so did the first place, and that was all they were willing to do, and ours were the only 2 that survived. And our bridge cost more, so we came in 2nd. And that was the best day of math in my life. But that was 6th grade math. And 7th grade would have been Algebra 1. 8th grade would have been Advanced Algebra. Freshman year would have been geometry, and I really liked geometry, which is why this sort of thing appeals to me, like where I'm measuring like this. And then it was pre-calc, and I hated pre-calc. And then it was trig, and that was really bad. And then that was all the math I ever needed to take, so then I stopped taking math. Oh, I need to measure across the top. That's what I'm doing. All right, 1/8. Math trauma, yeah. It was math trauma. All right, do I want to do this in black paint or white paint? I think I would regret white paint because what's going to happen then is I'm gonna have to make sure it's not sticking out visually. I should also probably do the horizontal parts. So now you have to do the same thing but horizontal. And this one isn't going to be as simple because we can't see the top. So this way, we need to have, let's draw the full window in so I can see it. So we get that bar, and then we have a bigger space. And then we have, if this is our center line. So that's what we have here. We have 2 larger ones, these ones, and then we have these little square ones. So if I kind of visually just mark it, like this would be our halfway this way. All right, we're gonna go 3.5, just close enough for all of that. I did it wrong. I needed to measure the other line. Two and a quarter. So this is going to be up 1 1/8. It's my halfway. And all of these little spaces are going to be 1 1/8 again, because it's the same wood. So that's 4/8. Mal maths. Aggregated molecule says, for the record, I really like the precision that's going into this painting. I think I've told this story before, but when I took Drawing 1 in college, I was definitely not the person who had art experience, because it was like photography. And I really struggled my way through Drawing 1, and by the end of it, I thought I was doing much better, and I was. But that first semester of drawing was real hard for me, and when I finally, like, the professor was like, we're gonna just draw these still lifes for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. All right, let's do a critique on what you've done. Okay, now do it again. I've reset up the still life, draw again. And like that was how drawing one went. It was like trial by fire. And then finally they were like, all right, we're gonna do a perspective painting or a drawing. And then they taught us about 1-point perspective, and then they sent us out into the art building to do 1-point perspective drawings of the hallway. And that used a ruler. It was great. It was all math. It was like, you just gotta line up the lines. It'll work. And that was really hard for some people, and I really enjoyed doing it. It was much easier for me. So if we have 2.5, a quarter for the entire thing, and we have 4/8 that are already going to be taken up by the wood slats, how much space does that leave us for everything else? 2.25 minus 0.5, that's easy math I should have been able to do. That leaves us with 1 3/4 for the gaps. And 3 of those gaps are standard sized, like kind of square-ish. So like theoretically that should be 3/16 as well, because it's a square. And then the vertical is 3/16. So if this one is 3/16 and this one is 3/16 and then this one is 3/16. That's 9/16. So now I just need to add up what I can and then take this and divide it by 2, and that'll tell me how big those are. So we have 1.75 minus . So essentially, we could do 1/2 inch is approximately what I need to do. Let me draw that out spatially on this paper and see how I feel about it, instead of this really rough version. So this is how much space I have vertically. That'll work. All right, who wants a recap? Just dance emotes, that's fine. I need to sharpen this though. Where'd my sharpener box go? Oh, there you are. We just vibing. Now I get to do this for real. And after we do these little tally marks or tick marks, we are going to draw these lines. Yep, that's right. Other side. I'm really glad I did this first today. No, don't move on me, that would suck. Okay. Now we have all of our marks and we can do the lines. What I really wish though is that my thinner paint marker worked. Oh, we're working today. Cool, we're using that. So we're gonna do all of our vertical ones first because those are the ones that are more numerous. And it would suck to lose them. So there's all the vertical ones. They're tiny. See, can we catch the light? There we go. They're catching the light. So there they are. Now we have to draw on the horizontal ones. But that needs to dry. So we're gonna have a water break. Oh no. Oh, it's automatically off. Okay, good. iOS has a function. Those of you that have Apple have used it, maybe, where if you do certain hand gestures when you're on a video call, it will, like, if you do a heart with your hands, it'll make a heart appear. We just updated this computer and it's telling me about that. It just had this little pop-up that's like, you can add effects using hand gestures. So it's nice that it's off by default, but when it first started, it was on by default. And it was real fun to be in calls sometime and just to, like, you know, I gesture with my hands and like a thumbs up would appear and I'd be like, no, that's not what I wanted. It did make things very funny sometimes. I really didn't think I'd be doing this much math for an hour because I thought I would start blocking this in. Not blocking, detailing this. Here we are. Now the problem with the other side, the other direction, is that the second I set my ruler on it, it's going to smear, so I need to make sure it's dry. It seems dry enough after this. Okay, doing this again, but the other way. There's less lines. I can't see. I wanted to start this way, but it's not working. That doesn't look straight. What did I do? That's the wrong side of the ruler. That's 3. 1, 2. That's also 3. Okay, it does go a little bit down. It needs to go just a smidge more up. That didn't mark. Come on, paint marker. You were just working. Why did you stop working? There we go. That looks better. And every time I use the ruler, I wipe it off on my apron, because in the past, what's happened is I've gotten this liquid acrylic on the ruler, and when I go to move it, if I haven't wiped it off, it will transfer. And then I have liquid acrylic where I don't want it. And sometimes that is where it should not be. Okay. Catch that in the light, maybe? You can kind of see it. So we have all those. We're going to let that dry, go work on the cap, and then erase the chalk. So here is the point of that, and we're not doing the green yet, like the plants. That's going to be a final thing. That's going to be like putting the crown on at the end. So what I need to do is I need to make this have this stone texture with all the highlights and everything that that consists of. The cherry on top, yes. First. That's going to be today's goal. We're going to start with the little onion shape. And because it's stone, it's quite textured. So I need a stiffer paintbrush. Like maybe not that one, that's the fan brush. And maybe this garbage brush. This is maybe the oldest paintbrush I have. This was, I think, Stevens in college. And like, it doesn't bend at all. Like just the very tips of the bristles are even soft anymore. And it's super ruined. But like sometimes it's still good to paint with because you want that. So I very rarely throw a paintbrush away. Sometimes it just sits until it has a better purpose for a texture or something. Back to the swatch side. I have some of the stone color still on my palette, and in general, I think everything needs to be darker, like in here, because I really pushed the contrast of this thing. And I think I want to start with the lighter color, which I kind of already have. Work my way darker and then do the brightest color. But like this still feels pretty good to me. I think it just needs some texture and maybe some green. And I think I want to use more of a sap green because it has more yellow to it. Is my sap green dried out? Nope. We're gonna grab some glazing liquid just to kind of do some green wash. Get it all over my fingernail. Also, last night, all of my nail polish started chipping off. Not chipping, like popping off, and I didn't even use a peel-off base coat. So now I have like 4 fingers that are covered in this polish, and I need to remove that later today. Probably before I make pie. So we're making this greener. because everything needs to be green in this painting. So now the cap onion part is very green compared to the knot. And I'm just going to take the lightest brown that I still have for the stone, and I have Titan Buff, which is functioning as titanium white in the painting, because I'm holding back on using titanium white. If I'm using it, I'm going to use it very sparingly, because this painting is so dark. I need it to stay dark. So I have the stone I'm happy with it. And I'm just going to add texture with the same color, but with some more of this green in it. This is where I want my hair tie, but I don't have it. Just a little bit of that is actually helping, and this brush is just not enough. Do I have something not quite as ruined, but also bad? You, let's try you. This deer hoof might be good. Paintbrush chopstick time as a French pin. Let's see, I have 3 I do have a hair tie. Nope. I swore I put one on my wrist this morning. I have 3 bobby pins. That might be enough. We have a 25-month resub from Aiden who says, "Happy 25 months, Mel." Thank you. Good morning. Aggregated Molecule says, in high school art, we had an assignment to make a cover art for our folders, and I went with a collection of geometric shapes. So I was serious about appreciating precision and symmetry, just clarifying. Oh, I know you were actually serious about it. But that's neat. Alright. That's not terrible. Alright, can I get this bun to stay with 3 bobby pins? Let's try. Normally I use French pins when I do this, but I have bobby pins in here for some reason. Ooh, that's 2. I got 1 more. It won't stay open, so I can hook it. There we go. See, my hair is so fine, like there's no body to my hair, which is why then my bun is like tiny. Wonderful. That's way more secure than the single paintbrush I had a few weeks ago. All right, I have more bed brushes to try this texture with. The other thing I need to be careful of is accidentally putting this outside of the bounds of the onion shape. Because that's not what I want at all. We need to stay contained. I also need to look at my image. So I have just like a stiffer paintbrush with a little bit of water, and if I'm quick, I can just kind of go on the outside of this and erase. But I have to be quick because it's acrylic. And I actually do have to do the stamping a little bit outside of the onion shape, because otherwise I'm not going to get it right to the edge. And I think in a second I'm going to take a photo of this and post it for Mod Chat so people can see like the texture difference between the onion, what I'm doing right here, and like this part down here. Because that part down there is not touched yet, but it will be, and it'll have the same sort of texture once I'm done with it. keep putting my cleanup brush where I can't reach it easily. Oops. I got a little careless with my cleanup brush. What about scrunchies? I find that my hair is too fine a lot of the time, and they just slip out. Now I need to make the bottom part darker. So we'll start with this. Yeah. This is the right choice. And work my way up with it a little bit. Maybe switch to a smaller brush. All right, the onion is done. Let me take a photo. Hopefully with the least amount of glare possible after I wipe that down. There's a weird line right here. Did that go away? I know I can fix it if I have to. Oh, let me zoom out a little bit so you can see the lines I did too. Okay, edit this because it did not capture green right. It's very red photo. There's like a big glare over here. So notice that when this goes up. Tint. That's red. There's also a glare on this side, like right here real bad, and then right here this is reflecting. But you're trying to see this, the onion, and then the lines down here. That's what I'm trying to show. What are we doing, phone? We did a weird thing. No? There we go. Mod. Photo. It's still not quite green. Did Discord do something weird to it? That's fine. Thank you, Radio Dread. I just have to click a button. All right, so you can see the onion has stone texture now, whereas like the cap part doesn't. And you can see the lines I did with the chalk. So that's the difference between like blocking in and like finishing it. So this is done. Obviously they'll need the plants and stuff, but I'm happy with how it looks. And ideally I would do the cap next, which is fine. You don't see as much of it because it's covered in this like duckweed so thoroughly. So I think my plan is to do that anyway. And then the next thing I want to try and finish today is I did block obviously this in with the lines, but I want to fill in the windows with a lighter color so we can see it. So that's my goal for today of what I want to get done. So we're going to do the cap. What we're mostly going to do is we're going to fill in texture where we can see it, and it's really, really limited, and that's okay. And then we're probably going to just darken a lot of this all to solid black, just like I did down here. And that's also okay. Okay, I started by taking this color, No, I started by doing a green wash. That's what I did. Because it was not green enough. By the end of this painting, I think I might just do another green wash over everything. Because like even what I've done here I think could be greener. I'm out of green. Okay. We need a little bit of that. So I'm trying to bring in that same texture down here. And like I said, even though we're not going to see a lot of it because of the plants, I do want to make sure that I have it, because if I do show any of this, it needs to be there. We have an 11-month resub from Fire Goddess. 11-month hype. Thank you. And I'm going to work my way lighter. cat hair. Switching to a smaller brush too because I'm getting a little too heavy-handed on this, so I need to be a little bit more careful. This brush is not bad enough though. It's too new. I have to like look away for a second and then see how it feels when I look back. And I have to try and imagine it with the green on it, with the plants. And I think I have all the highlights done. So now I can work the darker color back in. Kind of thinking I need a medium color right here. I think that's looking pretty good. And with that, I want to darken the underside of the cap here. And we're just going to use some glazing liquid and black with that. There, that's darkened a lot of that, which is good. And the last thing I want to do for today is fill in the negative space in the grid that I did earlier. Future Oil Painter says, may I ask the subject? So this is based on a photo I took when I was in Nara in Japan. So I am using my reference image from the photo I took, which is, this is the zoomed in, so I could see what I'm doing, but that's what it is. How do I want to do this? I don't want to paint these too light right away because that's going to be a mistake. How do I feel about this color? Too light. I also need a smaller brush. Much smaller, maybe this guy. What about this color? Still too light. Let's try this color. That's better. That one I can work with. That's a good block-in color for this. So I'm going to paint all of these little windows so we can see them. If this track had been playing an hour ago, it would have been perfect. It's a good track. Oh, that goes way too high. Those should not be that high. That's better. Do I have paint on me? I do. Let's not accidentally get that somewhere. The other reason my hand keeps sticking is because of the darker wash I just put on it right here. So it is a little wet. Thanks, Soil Painter. They're starting to show up. Like when you do the first row, it's like, is that intentional? Now that there's a pattern. One of the ways I know that I've been painting for about 2 hours is the coffee that I have immediately before stream starts to hit me. And my hands start to get a little shaky. Which is real fun when you're painting small squares. I only have 16, 17 more to go. Bad combo of coffee and painting, mayhaps? Coffee plus anything is always good combo. I love coffee. I went to a coffee shop when we were in New York. And they had a lot of different influences from various Middle Eastern cultures. So like, I ended up getting a cardamom latte. It was so good. And I asked the guy when I walked in, I was like, hey, what do you recommend? And he's like, I don't know, what do you like? And I'm like, I like getting a dirty chai latte, which is chai spices with a latte. So it's like coffee. Yes, Vagabond it was. And I was like, I also like ordering cortados, and he's like, those are wildly different. And I'm like, I know they are, but that's what I like. And I was like, so I'm considering these two things on your menu. And he's like, those are wildly different things. And I'm like, I know, but which one do you recommend? And he's like, I guess the cardamom latte. So that's what I got. It was very good. I was kind of hoping he'd be like, no, this is the definitive thing. You like coffee, get this. You aren't allowed to like different things, only similar things. I was trying to express to him that I wasn't all that picky. And that I would not be disappointed in whatever. One of the things we didn't talk about on breakfast stream on Tuesday was the stuff we did Tuesday because it hadn't happened yet. And we went to the Tenement Museum in East Village, Lower East Side. I can't remember exactly where it was. It's down by Katz's Deli. And I really enjoyed that. That was a lot of good information. It was maybe one of my favorite things we did. Sounds a little bit like a waltz. Oh, it's a Pokemon song. The Poke Waltz. One more. And then I'm gonna do a little bit of a wash over the row above it. That really made that look much better. Let's see, I'm right at 2 hours and 3 minutes. I think I want to do one other thing. I think I want to draw in the wisteria. the wood slats between like the paper part of the lantern in here are very, very visible. And that's just gonna have to be how it is till I paint them because they're still just brown. But Yoshi. Also, thing I should consider. There's a chunk out of this stone right here. Do I have shading gray? Are you shading gray? You are. Just do this. So I'm gonna measure this, figure out center, and just do a little bit more math to end the stream. Seven 3/8. That still doesn't work. And so it's approximately 3 and 11/16. Just a nice easy number. Okay, that's half-ish. So now we get to do math again. Back over to this side. What did I say? 7 3/8. I didn't leave myself enough room. So this is how much room I have for the wisteria box. 1, 2, 3. And so that's approximately half. So one of them sits on the left and one of them sits on the right. So we have measurement 1, and then this is going to be the same across the way, and then we have the longer pieces here. So I have to figure out all of those. And making myself a little estimate. There's like this stem that kind of comes up this way and loops down. Then we have leaves and then the wisteria blossoms. These just finished blooming by us too. So this feels right, so I'm going to measure whatever that is and kind of go with it. Let's go with 7/8. This will be 7/8, and then this will be 7/8. And the whole thing is 7 3/8. I wrote that wrong. So if I subtract 3 7/8 from 7 3/8, I have a remainder of 4 3/4. So dividing that by 2, I have 2 inches and some change. Two 2 3/8 each. That's not bad. So this is kind of my halfway line. And so now I just need to measure in 7/8 on each side. don't know how I feel about this. I don't feel like it's tall enough, but also that's kind of impossible. They feel really long compared to the photo. So my options are basically bring this in and make them more square. But these distances feel right. I might bring them in just a little bit. That feels better. I can also bring this down just a little bit. Yeah, I can work with that. All right, I'm gonna draw this wisteria in, and then we'll see how I feel about it next week. And then I'll see if I want to make it permanent. They do kind of look like grapes. But I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be wisteria based on geographic location. All right, we're gonna leave that alone till next week. And I'll see how I feel about it after stepping away for a week. All right, do we see this part? It looks so much better with that in there. And you can see how mathematically perfect it is, and that's good. We also did all of this up here to make it look like stone, and then I darkened the underside of the cap. Cool. Thank you to my Patreon sponsors. There's going to be links in chat if you're interested in supporting me. Things that are coming up. I'm trying to think about what they are. Tonight we're playing Split Fiction, and we're going to maybe start early from what I remember being told. Because we want to make sure we get through it, because we're like kind of near the end. And I have stuff to do tomorrow. Ouch. So I can't be up too late. So, yeah. I don't know what time we might be going early. We may also end late to finish it. Yeah, but I have to go to bed. Well, there's a little bit of curl from putting that in the bun. Just a little bit. That's tonight. Monday, I'm going to be playing a game on this channel. I still don't know what it is. I had an idea. I had a further idea. I don't know if I want to do that. I may do something else, so... maybe Vagabond. I haven't decided. So I'm not sure what I'm going to be playing. Hello Kitty. Maybe. Maybe we'll just do that. I haven't fully decided on anything. So we'll be figuring that out over the weekend. And then tune in Monday night and be surprised. Otherwise, next week things are basically normal from what I know, like Tuesday, Thursday, Steven's Wednesday stream, and then we'll be back to this on Friday. I'll be doing all of this part and finishing that. That's my goal right now, is to finish all of the wood part of the lantern. And if I finish the stone down here, that'd be great too, because then that just leaves all of the green, the plants. And that would be ideal, but my goal is at least the wood part of the lantern. Shadow of the Colossus finale next week, probably. Who knows what's happening next Friday? True. I think we have a plan. Pretty sure that's the plan. Thomas Time says, wait, Mal's thinking of streaming Persona 4? No. That was not on my list. Forgot I had this paintbrush on the water. Oops. Alright everyone, make sure you tune in maybe a little bit early tonight on Steven's channel for the finale of Split Fiction. Thanks everyone for being here. Today's Friday. I will have a painting up time-lapse next week and an auction. 7? Are we going live at 7?
I hope.
You hope, okay.
Yeah, I want to... yeah.
Yeah.
The stream, I'm hoping, will be up at 7.
Okay.
And then, you know, we'll read alerts and stuff, so I'm hoping to start the game closer to like 7:30 instead of 8.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the plan. That's the hope.
Alright.
Yeah. Streaming normally, the game is at 8, so we're trying to start half an hour sooner, and probably we'll go half an hour later. And I'm hoping that that will be enough.
Ow.
But the earlier the better, because I want the game to...
Not go too late?
well, I want to finish the game.
Yeah, that too.
We're trying to finish Split Fiction, and it's hard to say, because sometimes we're like, ah, crap, there's all this game left, but then we actually finish it quick.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes we're like, it'll be easy, and we don't finish it. So I'm trying to take some level of precaution so we can make sure it's finished. So.
Okay. Alright everyone, thanks for watching. See you at 7 or so for Split Fiction tonight on Steven's channel. Have a good afternoon. I'm gonna go make some pie.